What's up, bitches? This is Silent Rob. So yeah, I got a little bit of sleep, feel a little bit better, and now I'm gonna talk about this motherfucking game. In case you guys didn't see, I did beat Sekiro, and it was a fucking ordeal, okay? When I am on my deathbed and I look back on my past mistakes, ever starting Sekiro is going to be one of them. That was like 30 fucking hours I'm never gonna get back of pure fucking agony. I think I would probably rather be tortured in a dungeon somewhere than to ever play that game again. People think they're funny. Hey, you wanna start the New Game Plus? Fuck New Game Plus's ass, okay? Never again. I've already lit the game on fire, taken a shit on it, and buried it. It's gone. It's dead, okay? Okay, in actuality, I'm keeping it, but that's just because I have the full set of From Software joints, so I'm going to just hang on to it. And somebody gave it, and a fan gave it to me, so I'm going to hang on to it. But other than that, it would die a miserable death, just like it made me do about 5,000 times. So my thoughts on this game after beating it is I'm kind of half and half on this game. On one hand, what I said in the other videos is true. The game it's not a learning curve. It's a learning brick wall at 80 miles an hour, okay? All right, on a motorcycle with no helmet, blindfolded, okay? You didn't even see it fucking coming, bitches. It's scary. The general gaming population is just not going to have a chance at this. This is the type of game, I mean, I could have learned a language. You know what I mean? An entire language. I could have done something completely ridiculously productive in the amount of time that you have to invest to get this battle system down. It is an extremely difficult but rewarding battle system. That's not my main issue with this game. My main issue with this game is there's not a lot to it. The length comes from really just the repetitive nature of fighting these enemies over and over again. I would suspect that once somebody does have this down, and if they really want to invest the time, this game could probably be beaten in like 4 hours, 3 hours. I mean, I know the Dark Souls games are like that too, but there's a lot of cheese involved when you do that in those games. There's not a lot of cheesing involved in this game, I will say that, but there's not that much to this game, really. If you think about it, a lot of the game is optional stuff, which, you know, a lot of people kind of dig that, you know what I mean? Like getting off the beaten path kind of games. But a lot of this game is mini bosses and stuff like that. At my skill level, I needed to beat these mini bosses to be able to get enough like prayer beads and shit to get my health bar up. But anybody else, I could see them, honestly, I could probably see somebody beating this in like an hour. Because you could run by most of this game. I mean, you could run by most of the enemies. I mean, if you're pretty good at beating something like this without getting touched, you could run by all the mini-bosses, all the enemies, and just fucking destroy, you know what I mean? There's probably only like 4 or 5 actual bosses that you actually have to kill. It's a strange game. It's weird. I would say it's significantly shorter than even Dark Souls 3. And Dark Souls 3, in my opinion, was pretty short, honestly. I beat that game ended really abruptly. I was like, man, we're already fucking done with this? And I look back on Sekiro, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? There's like 3 outside areas. There's the castle part, you know what I mean? And then there's like a dungeon or 2, and then there's not a lot of memorable areas. That's another really, maybe I'm in the minority on this, but none of the areas in this game really stuck with me all that much. I know there's like this divine realm you can go to that I haven't been to. There's like a boss in there. It's like a big dragon. It looks pretty cool. There's a few off the beaten path kind of cool little places, but overall, man, nothing sticks with you like Lenore Londo or, you know, anything, pretty much anything from the first Dark Souls, you know what I mean? Like, or Demon Souls, like when you're walking and that dragon comes out of nowhere. The only moment in this game that's kind of like that is when that snake comes out, and I wish there was more stuff like the giant fucking snake. There really isn't. A lot of the bosses in this are kind of humanoid type bosses. There's not a lot of monster type bosses. If I had to say the best boss, it would probably be that ape thing, which was pretty cool, and probably my best experience and interesting thing that happened when it got stuck. My fight got like stuck in a rock and was like having fucking strazokes and he couldn't get out, and I beat his ass that way. But overall, that was probably the most creative boss. A lot of them are just like dudes in suits of armor and ninja type enemies flipping around, and I don't know, man. You know, a lot of people gave shit to Dark Souls 2 when they did that. I don't see people really handing out the same bullshit card on this one. It kind of does the same thing if you think about it. It's a lot of humanoid bosses. I know this game's more grounded, I think, in, you know, ninjas and stuff like that. It's not in that, but I don't know. I like epic bosses. You know, like that type of stuff. I don't think the combat system is really suited for that type of combat either. Epic type bosses. But I don't know. A lot of things just rub me the wrong way about this game. You know, like it's you get stronger in this game, but it doesn't really feel like you're getting stronger. You get moves, and a lot of them aren't really that useful. You get moves, and like maybe 2 or 3 of them are really useful, like the stab move you get, and then the red sword slash thing are pretty useful. And once you get those, you can kind of cheese the game a little bit with those. But everything else is pretty useless. I got a lot of moves after I stopped streaming last night. I got a few more moves and a few more things, and they're really just not that helpful. You get this a frontward stab thing, and you get this like prayer, like burr, 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 fucking punch thing, and it's not that useful. You gotta get too close to do these moves, and it's just, I don't know. They didn't help me any. Especially when you got that death blow stab thing, and that thing's just OP. But overall, you know, I would say I'm a little bit disappointed in this game. I mean, I know a lot of people are enjoying it, and that's cool. But I don't got the urge to play this again. Like, when I beat Dark Souls, I wanted to immediately play it again. I would never probably play this again. I mean, it's kind of a one-off thing. And when I look back on it, there's just not... I look back on Dark Souls, there's so many memorable moments, you know what I mean? And things that stick with you in that game. Same thing with Dark Souls 2, at least to me. Dark Souls 1, I remember about the land was really cool. It was fun to explore. It had a Metroidvania thing to it. Dark Souls 2, there was just so much variety in the areas. It was just such a large, sprawling game. And Dark Souls 3 was kind of the half and half on both of them. You know, it looked really nice. It was... The combat system was refined to a T. Everything just worked. You know, it's not my favorite, but I can see why people like that game. And I'll probably play that one again. And Bloodborne, I see why people like that. You know, it's got that gothic atmosphere, and there's a lot of memorable boss fights and stuff in that game. It's an interesting game. But not so much with Sekiro. When I look back on Sekiro, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, here's an... outside on a roof, and backstab this guy, and a suit of armor guy, and a story that is basically just random sentence fragments spit out by coughing people. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Shitter, get off the pot. You know what I mean? It's like, huh? What? You know, like the... I know From Software likes to do these storylines that are just like on the verge of just listening to someone have a mental breakdown, basically, but this story was fucking retarded. It was retarded. Didn't enjoy it. And I don't know, man. I don't think the lore is really there either. A lot of people like the lore. That's another thing, you know, there's not a lot of meat to this game. There's not a lot of lore to look into. There's not co-op, so you really can't play this with your friends to add that extra level of enjoyment. There's no PvP. Maybe they're going to add this stuff later, but I don't think the combat system's really set for that. It's a very particular combat system the way it is. I don't really think that this would work in a multiplayer. It just wouldn't. It's just not that type of thing. Combat system revolves around going full force into someone and smashing at them, and then they smash at you and you block it and you just smash. It's like back and forth. I don't think that would work in a multiplayer. That's why they didn't even attempt it, I don't think. But I think co-op could have worked. There's a point in the game, right before the last boss, there's this encounter. You guys see me get to it. There's this encounter where you got to fight a boss and an enemy at the same time. So it's like one of the only instances where you fight two enemies at the same time and one's a boss. You can actually sneak up on one of that enemy and turn it on your side and fight against the boss with that enemy. It's actually pretty cool. So it is possible to have multiple people facing in this game. It works. So it's interesting that they didn't add co-op. I don't know. You know, there are different last bosses too, so if I really wanted to, I could beat... Depending on the choices you pick, there's like 2 different last bosses on both routes, which is interesting. That's an interesting way to go. But there's just too much fluff and filler in this game. That fucking monkey boss was retarded. There's too many... I mean, 3 or 4 of those mini bosses completely just blended together to where I couldn't even... There's like suit of armor sword guy, suit of armor spear guy, ninja spear guy, underground ninja sword guy, suit of armor guy in the tunnel guy. There's old lady person with the knitting needles. There's the horse guy, which is probably one of the best bosses, which was like one of the first. You know, and it's just like, it all just runs together. You know, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite, bitches. It's definitely not one I'm going to put on any kind of top 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 list. But I recommend it. If you're looking for a challenge, you beat all the Souls games... Just keep in mind, it's really nothing like those games. There are things that are in that game that are like it a little bit. Like you have the bonfires, which basically work the same. That you can warp between, they heal you and stuff like that, but it's not the same. Too many annoyances. I don't think that having that ninja energy tied to your special moves should have been done. I thought that was just kind of needless. You had to always, you know, you could buy them and they're cheap, but they do get more expensive later on. So, you know, if you're struggling on the last boss like I did and you run out of that shit and you got to go grind to get some more, it's just dumb. I think you should have been able to use those moves as much as you wanted to and have the game work around that. You know, certain enemies are weak to certain prosthetic arm attacks. Those attacks shouldn't have cost anything to use. It was, you know, it's like one fun aspect of the game, and they got to kind of cut you down, and you can't really use them as much. And I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting, you know. I guess so you can't cheese the firecracker weapon over and over again. Some enemies are immune to it anyways, really. So I don't know, bitches. It's interesting. I've never been this conflicted with a game in a long time. I'm glad I beat it. But I'm glad it's over. So I can move on to something else. I'm probably going to play this Divinity 2 for a little while and see how it's like. And then probably not like it. And then probably sell it. So that'll probably be my next step. Silent Rob, out, bitches. Oh, wait a second. I did want to say one thing. A lot of people have asking what happened to the stream yesterday. Honestly, guys, it was just it's a stream of failure. You know what I mean? It was just a stream. I appreciate you guys that you like to watch my stuff. Okay, but, you know, I gotta live with this stuff being on my page. And the idea of me having a stream that's just mostly 2 boss fights and me failing over and over again, I didn't think that was one of my best streams. I'll make it up to you guys and we'll have some more kick-ass streams, you know, where stuff actually happens. But a lot of those, I'm not really proud of these Sekiro streams, to be honest with you. I'm glad people like to watch me, and it's fun. I think it's one of those things where it's fun in the moment being in the stream, but I can't imagine anybody that would watch a 7-hour stream of me mostly dying on like 2 or 3 bosses. I don't know. I just didn't want it on my page, you know? Who's going to watch a 7-hour stream? I just think that turns people off. You know, I have like a standard. It's hard to explain how my brain works, but I like to keep my streams almost like videos. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you watch them, and each stream has, like, its own flavor and its own thing. And like, oh, that's a stream where that happened. Oh, that's a stream where that happened. That stream from last night is, oh, that's a stream where Rob died and had to grind for fucking 4 hours and nothing really happened. And I don't know. If you guys want me to keep this stuff on my page from now on, I will. I just don't want it to look like a DSP channel, you know what I mean? With like 40 streams all blending in together and shit. I don't like that. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me though. I had a lot of people in that watch me play that game, so I appreciate you guys. Silent Rob out.